What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our SEC football channel. And our 2020 college football predictions begin today with the LSU Tigers. Why not start with the team that won it all last season? What a season it was. This team going 15-0, one of the greatest teams, I think, of all time, most people would say. What they did, the schedule that they went through was just, it was unreal. And the fact that they were able to just roll through that schedule, make it look easy, it surprised me. Now, this is a team I was high on last year. Some people said, oh, you said this team wasn't going to be any good. I said LSU was one of the top 4 teams last year. I didn't have them making the playoff because of the schedule, but I'm on record saying I thought last year the 4 best teams going into the season were Clemson, Alabama, LSU, and Georgia. Now, obviously, I missed the mark on Ohio State, but I was high on this LSU team. I had them going 10-2, though, just because of that schedule. You look to 2020 now, and these are some other predictions. I'm going to give some other sources when I do these videos just to kind of compare. The FBI has this team going about 9-3, maybe 10-2. Those numbers add up to more than 12 because that would include a conference championship game if they were able to get there. That's the one thing about the FBI. They go through the conference championship game. I wish that they would just give you the number on the 12 regular season games. But anyways, 9 or 10 wins. Vegas has their over-under at 9. So they have them, you either got to go with 8-4 or 10-2. That's a pretty tough bet there. I don't know. I don't know if they go 8-4. But Athlon at 10-2. Their magazine just came out, and they have LSU at 10-2 this season, so they're a little bit higher on them. This was a tough one for me. I really went back and forth on LSU. I went anywhere from 8-4 up to 11-1. You look at all that they lost, the coaches that they lost, the players that they lost, of course, Joe Burrow. How good is Miles Brennan going to be? That's going to determine how good this team is, in my opinion. I think 100% if Miles Brennan goes out there and he is great, this team's going to have a chance to get back to the SEC championship. They've got Alabama at home. It's possible, but if he is average, I think this team is good, but they're not quite great. So UTSA is the first game on the schedule. I expect a win there. I don't really see any reason why they would lose that game. So I have this team starting 1-0, and then there's the game against Texas. This is going to be a huge game for both teams. They've got them at home, though, and that I think might be the difference in this game. I think Texas has the talent to match LSU. When I look at these two rosters and the inexperience on LSU versus the experience on Texas, I think Texas can make this a game. But I think that LSU just finds a way to win it. Maybe they force a turnover late in the game. The crowd, I think, will be a factor. I think LSU finds a way to win a close one-possession game, and they beat Texas, but it is a close game. So we've got them beating Texas, starting the season off 2-0. Then they'll play Rice. This game is in Houston. This should not be a challenge for LSU. I expect them to win this game easily and begin the season 3-0. They open up SEC play against Ole Miss, going to be playing Lane Kiffin's team, and that's going to be an interesting game. Remember, John Rhys Plumlee gave the LSU defense fits last season. He ran all over them. So I expect to see a heavy dose of John Rhys Plumlee in this game. You have to think LSU will prepare for that, though. I don't know if Ole Miss's passing – I'll go ahead and say it. Ole Miss's passing game is not going to beat LSU. Their secondary is one of the top secondaries in the country. So I don't expect Ole Miss to have a lot of success throwing the football in this game. I think LSU will really load up to stop Plumlee in this run game. I think LSU wins a fairly close game, but I think they wind up putting it away in the fourth quarter, winning by a couple of possessions. I do expect them to beat Nichols as well. So I have them starting off 5-0. And then the game against Florida, this was the toughest game on the schedule for me to predict. I went back and forth and back and forth and back and forth on this game. If you want to go with the opposite of me, I have no problem with that because I definitely could see either team winning this game. I think on a neutral field, I would probably go with LSU, but playing on the road in the swamp is going to be so tough. I do think, though, that LSU's swagger from winning the national championship, I think it's going to carry them early in the season. That belief, I think it's going to help them, and I think it's going to give them what they need to go on the road and face a Florida team that maybe doesn't quite have that belief just yet. And I think LSU wins a close game on the road at Florida. They begin the season 6-0. I may regret that pick, but that's my gut. I'm going to go with LSU to go on the road and beat Florida. Arkansas after that on October the 17th. And last year we didn't do the individual games. A lot of you complained about that, so that's why I've gone back to doing this. But don't focus so much on the individual games. Focus on the overall record at the end, because most people that make predictions, most like Athlon Sports and these other magazines, they don't predict every single game because it's so hard, and you spend too much time paying attention to that instead of the overall record. But I do expect them to beat Arkansas. I think this is an easy win. Yes, Arkansas is getting better. Maybe. We'll see. I mean, we think they're getting better. Really don't know. And they have Felipe Franks, but I don't think that's going to matter. I think LSU goes on the road. Maybe they start slow, a little bit of a hangover because of the Florida game, but I think they pull away in the second half and win that game. Mississippi State on October 24th. You got the air raid attack now from Mike Leach. I don't think it's going to do much good in this game. Again, I talked about LSU's secondary. I think they shut down any passing game that Mississippi State might have, and then they forced them to run the football, which is probably not what Mike Leach is going to want to do. I think LSU wins this game easily at home, and I think that, they get a bye week after Mississippi State to get ready for Alabama. I think that's big. You don't have to start looking ahead to Alabama just yet, and I think they roll in this game, one of their easier wins of the season. And then there's the game against Alabama. This is another tough game. It's at home for LSU. Home field advantage could be a big factor, although Alabama has played pretty well in Baton Rouge. So you could argue that maybe it's not that big of an advantage for LSU. But I don't care about the history. Home field advantage is home field advantage. I don't care if a team has beat a team on the road 100 straight times. You're still going to have an advantage if you're at home. You have the crowd in your favor. I don't get that argument. But I think the revenge factor is just too much here. Nick Saban, they'll probably prepare for LSU all off season. I think Alabama wins this game. I think it's close. I think it's fairly low scoring. I think the defenses really play well. It's one of those old-fashioned games, not a 9-6 type game, but a little bit more low scoring than what we saw last year. And I've got Alabama getting the win in Death Valley. Very tough game. I'm going back and forth, but I think Alabama's defense makes a play late. They win it by one possession. South Carolina is up next on November 14th. This, I think, will be a fair, it's a tough one because it's between Alabama and Auburn. Tough spot on the schedule. South Carolina, a team that may have nothing to lose at this point. They're going to go out there and who knows, maybe make this game interesting, but I think LSU is just too talented. I think they get the win in a game that maybe is closer than you would expect, but I'm going to go with LSU to get the win there. Then there's the game against Auburn on the road. Remember, Auburn's defense played LSU's offense better than anyone in the country last season. It wasn't enough to win the game, but still, they slowed them down. A lot of those players, though, are now gone, but still, Kevin Steele is there. They've got the game plan. I think they put it in place. They use that crowd noise. The defense comes out and plays their best game of the year. They're going to be young, but I think they improve as the season goes on. I think they feed off of that home field advantage. Bo Nix makes some big plays in this game, and I'm going to go with Auburn to win a close game. And they also get a little bit of revenge on LSU, giving them their second loss of the season. So now we've got LSU at 9-2 before that final game of the year against Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a team that brings a lot back this year. They're going to be good. They have a favorable schedule, so they could be sitting here with maybe just one loss at this point, maybe even undefeated, probably not, but maybe they're sitting there with one loss, and they've got a chance to maybe get to the college football playoff. Who knows? I think LSU, though, coming off of another loss, they are just really motivated to go in there. And the home field advantage, it is a big deal in this game as well. But I think LSU is able to just find a way maybe to beat a Texas A&M team that's a little overconfident. And the Tigers get the win, pull off what might be an upset. We'll have to see how everything shakes out, but it might be a little bit of an upset on the road. And LSU beats Texas A&M. They finish the season 10-2. And it's probably going to be another New Year's Six Bowl for them. Not the playoff this time, but a New Year's Six Bowl most likely for LSU. We'll see how everything shakes out again once we go through all of the teams. But 10-2 is a pretty good year right after winning a national championship. So I really had a hard time on this schedule. At one point I even thought maybe I'd give them the win over Alabama at home. and then have them lose to Florida on the road, or maybe even lose to Texas A&M on the road. It was very, very tough for me on LSU because those games, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, Texas A&M, those 4 games to me, and maybe even throw Texas in there, those 5 games could really go either way. And, you know, if they lose 2 or 3 or 4 of those games, it could easily be an 8-4, 9-3 type season. I'll go ahead and say I don't see LSU doing better than 10-2. I think with this schedule and all that they lost, I'm sorry, but I think 10-2 is probably the best they're going to do, and that's, you know, I'm going with the best. When I made my prediction there, I had them going 10-2. So I think they have a good season. Again, I think early on they're really feeding off of the momentum from that championship from last season. I don't think they're going to have a hangover. Ed Orgeron is just not the type of coach that I think will allow that to happen. There will be some adjustments with all that they lost, but I think, again, they find a way to win that game against Texas. They have that momentum that carries them to beat Florida, but Alabama ultimately stops that momentum, and they lose a couple of games late in the season. But still, again, a great year, 10-2. What do you think about LSU? Give me your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think they may have a chance to repeat, get back to the college football playoff or the SEC championship? Or maybe there's a big drop-off because of all of that production that they lost. No Joe Burrow, losing Brady in the passing game. You lose the defense coordinator. I mean, there were a lot of losses, a lot of players gone, a lot of guys gone on defense. So we'll see what happens. But what do you think about this LSU team? Again, give me your thoughts, your prediction down below. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more here on the SG1 Sports YouTube channel.